In today's reading, we are going to be focusing on who you are becoming as a person. So if you are interested in seeing where you are at right now versus who you are evolving into, what is this new version that you are becoming then you are in the right place, watching the right reading. So stay tuned, because we're going to be digging into all of that. Now, we have 3 piles to choose from in today's reading, and they go as such. This card represents pile number 1. This card represents pile number 2. And this card represents pile number 3. If you already know exactly which pile is calling out to you, then you can go into the description box down below and click on the timestamp that you need. But if you are still a bit on the fence, you don't know which pile to go for or how to go about choosing, then just a few of my recommendations would be to try and quiet yourself as much as possible. So if you are surrounded by noise or distraction, try and get yourself into a quiet place, or just try and tune out those distractions as much as you can. You can also close your eyes for a bit, take a few deep breaths to get really centered and present in this moment, so that you could also hear your inner landscape more easily, and you could see what is coming up for you, what sort of sensations or feelings are popping up within you, and what is it that your eyes are drawn to, or anything like that. However your intuition speaks to you, go off of that. And as I always say, trust your intuition, but also please don't forget to use your discernment as you are listening to these general messages. And having said all of that, let's jump into it. Hello and welcome to your reading, pile number 1. My name is Helen and I am so excited to do this reading for you. So yeah, let's just jump into this together and see what we have. Also, thank you for any support and all of your likes, comments, all of your subscribes, everything like that. It means so much to me. But yeah, let's get into it. So we have some pre-prepared oracle cards. If you are not new to my channel, you already know that this is how we do it. If you are new to my channel, hi, welcome. This is how we do it. So we're going to look at the pre-prepared oracle cards in just a bit, because first I want to feel my way through the card that you chose and see what is coming through intuitively. So pile number 1, you chose this Ace of Coins card. And what I'm feeling here is a lot of material, practical energy, because we're dealing with the earth element, the coins suit. So it feels like for the majority of your time, energy, focus, and possibly resources as well, you seem to be very much honed in on something physical, something practical. Now, it could mean that you are just so consumed by your day-to-day activities, by your responsibilities, by everything that you have to take care of on a daily basis, that you don't really have too much time for, I don't know, emotional pursuits or spiritual pursuits, or, you know, maybe even like physically active pursuits. You know, it could be that you are so consumed by everything that you have to do. Again, these practical matters that you don't have that much time to do like things that you would like to do necessarily. So it just seems like you are very much focused on some sort of either like idea, some sort of potential, some sort of project, some sort of work task, something that you could be wanting to like expand upon, or wanting to start doing as well. Because with the Ace of Coins, we're dealing with the sort of initial stages of something, or like the beginning of something. Or if it's like, again, if it's talking more broadly about your sort of mundane day-to-day life, then it just feels like you are doing these little tasks, and there seem to be just like, I don't know, so many of them. So again, put the details in place as you resonate with them. For some of you, it definitely feels like there is so much of these like little things, little details that you have to take care of. Whereas for others of you, it feels like there is something like more like solitary is not the right word, but something that is more like distinguished, something more concrete or specific that you seem to be focusing on, or that the majority of your attention is going to. Even though this is the earth suit, right? So it does hint more at like physical activities or routines or job or work tasks or things like that. It could also talk about a relationship or something like that that you really want to solidify, or that you want to grow into something more stable, something more long lasting. It could also be talking about your health as well. So you could be investing a lot of your time, energy, and effort into like healthy pursuits and just trying to be as healthy as possible, or trying to work on your physical well-being and making sure that you are, tuning your lifestyle and making certain changes and going to the doctor, or, making appointments, that sort of thing. Maybe really watching your eating as well, watching your sleep cycle. I don't know why all of these things are coming through, but for some of you, that definitely could be the case, that is something that you are starting to focus on more. But yeah, it just seems like you are very much focused on these like practical, real life, mundane matters, and just like trying to sort of think big picture, trying to do things that would like really benefit you down the line as well. So it seems like that may be more of a specific message, but for some of you, I definitely feel like you are possibly sort of cutting certain things out, or making decisions, prioritizing certain things that you feel are more worthy of your time and energy, and sort of trying to distance yourself from things that are maybe not really worth your time and energy, or that are just way too draining, or take up way too much of your space, way too much of your time, without necessarily making you feel good or making you feel like worthy, like it's worth doing those things. So yeah, even though I don't know why, this is the Ace of Coins, but I don't know why I'm feeling like this sense of prioritizing and possibly making some very clear-cut, concrete decisions as well, and sort of putting certain things and certain aspects of your life that you want to continue more on like this pedestal, or putting it into focus, whereas some of the other things and like distractions and things like that, you seem to be trying to like eliminate altogether, or just pay way less attention on, something like that. So yeah, and for some reason, I don't know why, but it feels like for some of you, again, this may be more of a specific message, but just the way that this card looks as well, I'm even kind of feeling like a bit of a Four of Cups type energy here, if you're familiar with tarot. So it feels like for some of you, you could be being presented with certain opportunities, or certain, like suggestions, certain ideas, and you seem to be not that interested in those. Like, I'm just looking at this face, and it feels like there is no real distracting you at this time, or you don't seem to be too interested in like what is on offer or what else is out there. You seem to be so very much locked in on what it is that you are doing, or what it is that you have in your mind's eye, what it is that you want to have in your future. So it seems very focused. I don't know how many times I've said that, and if it was way too repetitive, sorry, I get that. I get like that sometimes. But anyway, so that is just the intuitive part that was coming through here, pile number one. Yeah, if this is you, or if you at least felt like this could be your reading, then stay tuned, because we're going to look at these pre-prepared oracle cards, which are going to tell us a bit about where you are at right now, what is going on with you, what it is that you are dealing with. And hopefully, as you are listening to these messages, you will be able to recognize yourself much more easily. So let's see. Okay, interesting. We have ruins. Okay, we have some intuitive cards. We have patience. Some more intuitive cards, and bright idea. So pile number one, I am definitely feeling that a very big component of your reading has to do with your resources, with your like money situation specifically, with, your savings, or with your spending habits, with your investments, things like that. And so, yeah, it seems like you are clearly thinking very much in like practical terms, and trying to better yourself and better your future prospects in that regard. Because I'm going to start with the first cards here. We have this ruins card with this intuitive card, which hints at like commerce and spending, buying, selling, that type of thing, like monetary exchange. So it definitely seems like for some of you, sorry, let me turn this down because it's really, really bright. Okay, I feel like that's better. So for some of you, pile number one, it feels like there have potentially been some like purchases or maybe some big splurges that you have had to make that have wreaked quite a lot of havoc on your financial security and stability. Because with this ruins, I mean, this is a very, very like heavy hitting card. There is no two ways about this energy. It feels like there has been some sort of bigger loss, some sort of bigger blow. Maybe some of you, you know, this could even be talking about some of you having lost your job or being laid off from work. Maybe some of you, you know, just are struggling so much with the level of like inflation and how, you know, the prices are going up, but the salaries are not necessarily rising with those like price increases, right? So it could be that you are just having a really hard time making ends meet and just managing things comfortably. It could be quite a struggle for some of you. I'm not saying that that's the case for all of you, but for some of you, it's just talking about the general sort of expensiveness of life nowadays, right? And everything that is going on with the economy and how crazy it is. And so it just feels like some of you are really struggling because of that. But as I said, for others of you, this could be, you know, having lost your job or experiencing some sort of upheaval like that. Or just that, you know, maybe some of you have kind of gone on like, you know, overboard with some spending, some impulse buying, and maybe you just sort of find yourself in a bit of a tight spot. And maybe that's why this Ace of Coins is here and talking about how much like you are focused or kind of like laser focused on trying to better your finances or trying to secure yourself somehow or trying to get yourself out of that situation. But yeah, it definitely feels like there has been some sort of a situation that you have gone through that has been kind of like a tower moment, right? When it comes to, you know, how much you have to like either spend on things or how much you have to splurge and how that may be difficult, or you know, how you may be kind of in a tight spot right now, things like that. For some of you, there is also like debt coming through that, you know, there could be certain purchases or certain subscriptions that you have had or that you have signed up for in the past. And maybe now those things have kind of like accumulated and like it's kind of difficult for you to uphold them. Or maybe there are certain things that you have purchased with like, what's it called in English? Like after... I don't know whether that's the right term, but like afterpay, you know, when you buy something, but then you get the item, but then you sort of have to pay in like little increments, like, I don't know, several months or several years down the line. I can't think of the word, can't think of what the expression is in English, but basically, yeah, it feels like some of you could have these like financial responsibilities that are spanning into several months or several years, and you could be like really struggling with actually like paying them off or something like that, or being able to like pay those little debts or things that you sort of have to pay. Anyway, you get the idea. So we have this patience card that is coming out smack dab in the middle here. And so it does seem like you are very much sort of trying to think about the long game here. It doesn't seem like you are looking at like get rich quick schemes, or that you are taking these like really crazy loans that like, again, I don't know how it's called in English, I do apologize. But you know, these like loans that you can get really, really easily and very quickly that are for like smaller sums, but the interest rates are like crazy. So you end up paying like triple the amount in the end or something like that. Anyway, with this patience, it feels like you are not doing that. It seems to be something that you are trying to think about like rationally. You're trying to come up with solutions that would actually be reasonable, that wouldn't get you in trouble down the line anymore, right? That wouldn't like, again, sorry, I'm struggling for words so much right now, but bear with me. So, you know, it's like you are not trying to make any like stupid impulsive decisions that may get you out of the situation right now, but then again end up putting you in a bad spot down the line, right? So it's like you are not swapping one bad decision for another one. And also the other thing that I get here, because these two cards are coming out together, so for some of you, this is definitely more of a specific message, but it feels like for some of you, you know, there could be certain like family members or certain friends or just like certain support around you that could be like trying to help you out or trying to offer their support to you, but you may be sort of rejecting that or not really wanting your family members or other people to help you, and you kind of want to get out of this situation on your own. So there could be some stubbornness as well that you are dealing with. For others of you, it definitely feels like this patience and this family card is talking about the fact that you could be kind of like hiding that aspect of your life from your family members or from your close sort of friends or loved ones. And this is in no way like a judgment or criticism. I completely understand, I completely empathize how difficult it could be to be in that sort of situation and find yourself in a really tricky or tight spot and just try and manage, right? Because obviously you don't want other people to worry. And so I completely get where you are coming from if this is you. But yeah, it just feels like you are not really trying to get out of the situation in a quick way. You seem to just be trying to get out of it in like the most wise or yeah, like smart and methodical way. That's what I feel with this patience card. But also it could be that this patience is indicating just the length of time, that some of these things that you are experiencing have possibly been ongoing for quite a while, or that there is just these like long-standing obligations in like certain financial commitments that you have. And that is also something that this card could be hinting at. Now, these last two cards here is something that I also feel somewhat go together, because with this bright idea and this family card, it does seem like some of you have some sort of idea or some sort of plan. Again, as I said, some of you could be really focusing on like some sort of project or some sort of like focus, like that thing that you're focused on, right? And it could have to do with like getting your family out of some sort of tricky situation, or like thinking more big picture, right? Not just like yourself, but trying to come up with a way that would actually secure not just yourself, but your family's future too. So that could be something that you are thinking of. For some of you, this could also indicate that some of you are thinking about like launching a family business or starting to do some sort of career move or some sort of enterprise with your family or with your loved ones or with your partner. But I also feel, and this is more of maybe more of a specific message again, but I also feel like some of you could be getting bombarded by your loved ones or by your family members who, again, I feel like want to really help you or want to support you. And they could be throwing all of these like ideas, all of these suggestions, all of these opinions at you on like what you should do or how you should go about this situation. Really kind of wanting to like micromanage what it is that you are going through. And I feel like that could be something that is possibly like getting a bit on your nerves. I don't know why I feel that, but I'm not necessarily seeing any like cards that would hint at that, but that's just something that I'm feeling intuitively, that some of you could really be struggling with that, or again, like almost not really paying attention to it or trying to like zone that out so that you would focus on what feels the most right to you. So anyway, I'm not going to keep dragging on this part of the reading. So if you could resonate with this, if you could recognize yourself in this, and this is something, you know, that sounds familiar, then definitely stay tuned, because it's very likely that this is your reading. And so we are now going to look at who you are becoming, what sort of person you are evolving into. So we're going to start off first with looking at who you are becoming more broadly. So let's see what we get. Okay, there were way too many cards, so I just got the one that kind of stood out. Okay, interesting. So pile number 1. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. It's me and these cards all the time. Okay, so we have the Queen of Wands that came out in reverse. We have the Four of Pentacles, and we have the King of Cups with the Tower card at the bottom of the deck. And as always, I'm just going to point out some of the zodiac signs in case you resonate with them or you recognize them around you as sort of being relevant to the situation that you are in. We have some heavy Aries energy with the Queen of Wands, but other fire signs could be relevant too. So that would be Leo or Sagittarius. We have the Four of Pentacles, which is Capricorn. And with the King of Cups and the Tower, we have a heavy Scorpio actually, but with the Tower, this could also hint at Aries as well. Pile number 1. I actually want to start off with the underlying energy because I find it so interesting that we actually got the Tower card, because as I was talking about this Ruins energy, it felt very much like a Tower energy or the Tower moment type situation. So with this being the underlying energy here, first of all, I just feel like you are actually changing quite radically. I want to put that out there. I feel like there are certain aspects of you that you are completely obliterating or completely leaving behind, and that you're not going to be carrying with you into like the future and into like what you sort of do, how you behave, what sort of decisions you make in the future. Because I feel like with the Tower, this is just such a groundbreaking moment where something like changes irrevocably. It kind of shakes you to your core, and all of these things that haven't really been helpful to you, that have taken you into tricky spots or that have come back to bite you in the butt, you know, I feel like some of these things you are learning so deeply from that you are almost like transforming as a person. And I feel like as a result of this change that you are going through, you are actually going to be, ironically enough, much more resilient to certain like situations that could potentially turn your life upside down. But I feel like they are not going to have that sort of effect on you anymore because of this King of this King of Cups energy, and we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so anyway, let's get to the cards that you actually got. So we have this Queen of Wands energy that came out in reverse, but I'm going to show it to you upright so you can see the illustration. So with the Queen of Wands coming out in reverse, I do feel like there is going to be coming out of this possible like ego blow that you may be experiencing right now, or that you may have experienced as a result of even getting to this situation where, you know, you are struggling, or where you are having a hard time making ends meet, or where you are having to come up with ways to pay off certain debts or pay certain bills or things like that. And maybe because, I mean, with the Queen of Wands, it's very likely that maybe that hasn't been the case for you normally, you know, that you have been quite, I wouldn't necessarily maybe say affluent, but it just feels like, you know, you have been in a relatively like good spot where you haven't maybe had to worry too much about like how much you are spending and what you are spending on. And it always maybe has been a bit like kind of an afterthought for you. Like that sounded bad. You know, it just feels like you haven't had to worry that much about money, or that much about like your livelihood and what it is that you are spending on, like what sort of habits you have and that type of thing. It just feels like it maybe has been much more like fluent, much more in the moment. Maybe again, you know, quite impulsive for some of you, especially if you resonate with Aries energy. You know, it could be that that's something that you are used to. And so as a result of maybe having had to go through this like very sobering moment or this very challenging moment, it feels like it has taken a toll on your confidence levels, or just on your sense of self-worth as well. Maybe some of you, again, this is maybe more of a specific message, but it feels like for some of you, you could actually have a very concrete link between your like financial well-being and your sense of self-worth, you know. So as you are struggling, some of you could really have experienced this serious knock in confidence and sense of like accomplishment or sense of worth, because you are not sort of used to being in that sort of spot. But with it coming out in reverse again, it feels like you are kind of coming out of that, and you are changing also as a person in a way that I feel like whatever happens, you are not going to like associate what happens outside of you to your intrinsic self-worth anymore, or you're not allowing it to like get to you on such a strong emotional level. Because with the Four of Pentacles and the King of Cups, which are both very like stable and very level-headed, very calm energies, you know, that don't make any rash decisions, that don't like act impulsively and things like that. I just feel like that is the sort of person that you are turning into, where especially with the Four of Pentacles, it seems like you are starting to make decisions based on, again, long-term implications. It feels like you are starting to think things through and be a lot more patient again when it comes to how you go about spending your money, how you go about earning your money, what sort of things you decide to invest in, all of those types of things. So it just feels like there is so much more like calm and groundedness that is here that you are sort of turning into. And especially with the King of Cups, I kind of want to jump ahead here for a bit, because it feels like you are, getting to a place where you are not as easily swayed by what is going on around you. I love how, like, this King of Cups is sitting on an island, and there is all of this, like, choppy energy around them, all of these choppy waters and these waves and everything that is going on. But they are so, like, grounded and so rooted and so just calm and serene. They don't really let that get to them. They don't allow things outside of them to have a very strong impact on what is going on with them emotionally. So it seems like you are getting to that place and you are turning into someone who is much less like reactive or jumping into things because of how something like triggers you or how something makes you feel in the moment, you know? So again, and there is this level of like nonchalance, or this level of being able to stay like cool, calm and collected, even if something happens that is outside of your control, like we have with this Tower energy, right? If like something happens and it is a tricky situation, it challenges you somehow. I feel like with this King of Cups, you are just peaceful. You are just, it doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you at all, but it's not something that you're going to react to instinctively. That's what I feel with this King of Cups. And also, again, because the King of Cups is so emotionally intelligent, you are going to find ways in which to make like the best decision in any given moment. And I feel like all of these decisions are going to sort of tie back to your sense of security and your sense of stability, because with the Four of Pentacles, it feels like that is something that is going to become very, very important to you, or something that you are almost going to like reference back to. It feels like whatever this struggling situation you are in right now specifically, with this Four of Pentacles, it just seems like it's going to almost turn into this like anchor moment for you in a way where like you will never allow yourself to get into that space again. So you definitely seem to be moving away from like impulsivity or rashness, and more so moving towards like comfort, stability, security, like independence and self-reliance. Even though I feel like for some of you that is also a very strong trait within you already, but it seems to be something that you are solidifying, if that's something that you resonate with already as you're watching this reading. Also with the Four of Pentacles, it feels like you are possibly starting to build some sort of nest egg or something like that. Like when you get out of this more like challenging position, or where you don't have to put all of your focus into, again, either getting yourself out of some debt or some like tricky situation, or just taking care of like day-to-day business. When you find yourself getting into more of a like comfortable position again, where you can like breathe more easily and it isn't taking up all of your focus, then I feel like that's when you are starting to like build on something more steady and something that could potentially grow in the future. So especially with the Four of Pentacles, it feels like you could be starting to build some sort of nest egg, or maybe some of you are even starting to invest, or starting to deal with things in that sense that would like grow your wealth or bring in like passive income as well. So it's like regardless of what is happening outside of you, and regardless of like what is happening on the job market, you have some sort of stream of income that is kind of like, you know, keeping you afloat essentially. So anyway, sorry, I feel like this got a bit too rambly there, but let's move on. Let's see, what is it that you're starting to focus on more? Or what is it that you're starting to double down on? Even though I feel like we kind of went over that, but let's see if we can get any more information. Okay, interesting. So we have the Knight of Pentacles. Not surprised to see this here. We have the Ten of Wands that came out in reverse, and we have the Justice card with the Three of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So again, some zodiac signs. Very heavily Libra is coming through with the Justice energy. We have some Sagittarius with the Ten of Wands. We have Virgo with the Knight of Pentacles, and we have Libra with the Three of Swords. So pile number one, I feel like a lot of these cards are already confirming everything that we have been talking about. So I'm trying to like breeze through them, not get stuck on them for too long. But I again want to start off with the underlying energy, which is the Three of Swords, because I feel like this is exactly that sort of message that was coming through with the previous section. The Three of Swords is essentially talking about pain, and it's talking about lessons. So this is that like growing point that is like not the easiest to go through. It's not pleasant, but because it is painful, it is most likely to stick with you and really like bring about certain change. So with the Three of Swords, it feels like ultimately the reason why you are starting to, again, like hone in on something or focus on something, like doing something either like differently or starting to do more of something, is because of this painful sensation that you have experienced and that you don't want to experience again. So as I said, it kind of takes me back to this previous point of, because of everything that you have gone through, everything that you have had to endure, it feels like such a like traumatic experience in a way. I know that sounds very dramatic, and it's probably not the case for all of you, but it's like it's traumatic enough that it pushes you into like doing better in the future, so that you wouldn't get in that position again. You wouldn't find yourself in that position again in the future. And so with the Knight of Pentacles coming out over here, it's very clear that you are starting to become a lot more cautious. With the Knight of Pentacles, this is making very well thought through, very predictable, very methodical decisions, and taking actions that you have kind of gone over in your mind 100,000 times. Like, especially when it comes to, again, money, still dealing with the Pentacles suit. So especially when it comes to something that is something that is very literally money, or something that is valuable to you. Again, that could be other sorts of resources as well. I know that we have been talking so much about money specifically, or like your financial situation, because that's what's coming through the heaviest. But again, this can just be talking about another form of resource that is important to you, if that sort of applies. But you are starting to hone in on things that truly give you the long-term results that you are looking for, and that bring you this level of confidence, or have some sort of like guarantees, or make you feel safe about certain moves that you are making. So no impulsive, no uncalculated risks here. Especially because we have the Ten of Wands that is coming out in reverse. So it feels like you are starting to double down on eliminating things that are just way too much of a burden on you. That is, you know, taking up way too much of, again, either energy, money, time, anything like that, that you can kind of discard, that you can let go of. You are starting to put a lot of focus on that, like what you can cut out. And especially I feel that this is talking about, again, some of these like financial obligations or financial contracts that you have in place right now, where you could be having a hard time like paying certain things back, or like financing certain things that you have either like subscribed to, or, you know, just like some of these like nice to have things that you don't actually need for survival, right? So like cutting back on those things that are just like draining your account, these could even be things that you have maybe like forgotten about, or that you don't think are that much of a drain on your finances. So it could be like this gym membership that you pay every month, but that you don't ever actually go to the gym, right? Like that is a very common one for a lot of us. It could be some sort of like streaming service subscription that maybe you only want like watch, I don't know, twice a week or something like that, if that. It could be some sort of like kitchen appliance that you decided to buy with that like option of having to pay in like little increments over time, instead of like buying it out straight away, right? And maybe you have never even taken that application out of the box. So it's like something that you could actually either like take back to the store, or maybe you could sell it, or, you know, something like that to end that contract somehow. I don't know how those things work exactly. So I'm just, you know, giving you examples. I'm not saying that that's the case, but it's just something that you could really like actually cut back on. And it could be something that you haven't even remembered that is like something that you spend money on, right? So for some of you, it could be that you really like scrutinize and go over everything on your like bank account and really see where your money is actually going. And again, you know, these could even be certain things that you are purchasing, certain things that you are doing sort of on a whim. And I'm not, of course, saying that you can't ever allow yourself any nice things or any splurges or buying things that you really want to get for yourself that don't have a very practical purpose. Of course, I'm not saying that, but it just feels like you are starting to like get a lot more concrete with yourself on that, so that you wouldn't allow yourself every single impulse or every single splurge that you feel like making, especially because, again, we are ending this row with justice, and justice is saying that you are becoming a lot more like black and white over here, right? A lot more concrete and a lot more decisive about how you spend your resources, or again, like what is it that you invest in, what you spend your money on, what you spend your time on, all of those types of things. It feels like you are really weighing things very, very deeply. And it feels like, again, you are thinking of long-term implications. We're getting that same thing with the justice energy here. Because again, with the Knight of Pentacles and the Justice card, both of those are hinting at long-term results, or sort of having consequences that follow certain decisions and actions that you make. So like really thinking about what you could get caught up in, what you could get tied up with that you don't necessarily want to get tied up with, right? And especially because, again, with justice, we are dealing with the air element, right? So it's about making the smart choice, making the wise choice, and really sort of cutting emotion out of it and focusing only on, like, is it the right thing to do? Is it the smart thing to get or buy or spend your time or resources on? Anyway, I know I promised not to talk too long about it, but I ended up talking way too long about it. But as the last question, let's look at what it is that you are leaving behind. Okay, so we have, oh, interesting. You have such interesting combinations coming out, pile number one. We have the 10 of Cups, we have the 9 of Cups, and we have the Devil. So zodiac sign wise, we have heavy Pisces coming through with the 10 and 9 of Cups. We have some Capricorn with the Devil, and the 8 of Swords is at the bottom of the deck, which is Gemini. So again, I feel like I'm kind of becoming a broken record here, so I'm just gonna try to skim over this part. But with the 10 of Cups and the 9 of Cups and the Devil, I feel like all of these cards work in tandem. And so this to me just feels like what you are leaving behind is making a lot of these like emotional purchases, things that are being sort of driven by the need to, you know, like make someone else happy, especially because of the 10 of Cups. There is heavy implication on family again. So, you know, it could be that some of these habits that you have come from your family, like the sort of the patterns or the habits that you have maybe unwillingly taken on from your parents or from your upbringing. And so, you know, it could be sort of influences outside of you that are playing a big role in how you have ended up in this space right now. And that's something that you are wanting to change and leave behind. And even with the 9 of Cups here, again, this is talking about like, you know, making impulse decisions based on what makes you feel good in the moment. But that isn't maybe the wisest choice in the long run, right? So it's being fully driven by emotion, especially because between the 9 and the 10 of Cups, we have the energy of the Ace of Cups. So it's very much being controlled by emotion and like what makes you feel good, what makes you feel fulfilled in the moment. And so even though there is a fine line, right? There is a fine line. Sometimes you have to do those sorts of purchases or allow yourself things that make you feel good and pamper yourself, right? But if you only make like financial or practical decisions based on those sort of like emotional whims, that you have at like any given moment, then you can get into deep trouble. And so that's why I feel like with the devil here, especially, like that is indicating that trouble, right? Where you can sort of get way too easily caught up in temptation, way too easily give into certain desires or certain passions or certain, again, whims that you have in the moment. And that can sort of, again, come back to bite you afterwards, especially because we have the 8 of Swords at the bottom of the deck, which is indicating getting into that tight spot, right? Where you are finding yourself kind of in loss of options or feeling like, again, like your hands are tied, like you don't know how to get out of that situation, which is kind of very much what seems to be indicating the energy that you're in right now, right? So you feeling like you don't have that many options available to you, and so you're just like focusing on the best way to take yourself out of the situation and doing the hard work and, just like really doing what needs to be done. That is what I feel like you are sort of most focused on right now. But it seems to be something that you are trying to like let go of, or that you are moving away from as you evolve and become this more knowledgeable and more aware version of yourself, right? So, because again, remember, we are talking about things that you are leaving behind, that you're moving away from. So making these not so healthy choices or impulsive choices, letting your sort of temptations and desires and whims control you, that is something that you are leaving behind. So yeah, I really like that. And I also feel with the devil as well, that you are not going to allow yourself to get easily manipulated into buying certain things, or again, like investing in something, or like getting tangled up in something that could be potentially like a really bad decision for you down the line, like that type of thing. So anyway, wow, I feel like I have been talking forever, so I'm really sorry, pile number 1, if you are I don't know if anyone is still here, actually. I don't know if you are still listening, because I feel like I have been going on forever. But I promise we are almost done with the reading. So we're going to close the reading out with some advice, or just simply some support messages from Spirit regarding your reading. So let's see what they have to say. Okay, wow, we have so many cards that came out. I wasn't actually planning on taking more than like 2, but I don't know. Let's just take them. Let's just take these cards. At the bottom of the deck, you have look at the big picture before you react. Oh my goodness. This feels like very much on the nose, because that is what we have been talking about as well, about like reacting and acting impulsively and all of that. So that feels like a very, very important message. But so let's just start with the first card that you got. We have seek magic in life's mundane moments. I feel like this is Spirit just trying to like make you feel a bit better and trying to encourage you to not lose sight of like even the little things and the little good things that you can have in your day, even if, again, most of it is going on like handling the situation that you were in, or trying to find a way out of it, or dealing with the consequences of your past actions and things like that. There are still certain, even if they are the tiniest things, but there are certain instances and certain situations that you can experience on the daily that either like, I don't know, make you smile, or that bring you a sense of hope, or that make you feel better about yourself or your life in some way. So again, however small they are, just try and like notice them as much as you can, especially during this time, because it could be like otherwise quite difficult to keep yourself going, or to keep yourself motivated, and to not lose heart, right? Okay, so we also have no feeling is forever. Allow your emotions to float through you. So I just feel like this is a very sweet little reminder, right? That nothing lasts forever, and this too shall pass, as is a very common saying, but that clearly is applicable here too. So hopefully this will make you feel a bit better. We also have shine a light on what's working well for you today. Again, kind of similar to, paying attention to the magic in mundane moments. Again, just a very sweet reminder. I feel like I don't have to comment too much on the messages there because they are so self-explanatory. Okay. We also have, you deserve to feel good for being exactly who you are. Yeah, I feel like this is a very, very important message for those of you who have experienced this knock in confidence or this sense of like not feeling as worthy because of the hardships or the challenges that you find yourself in. You know, you're still a worthy human being, you know, even if you have made mistakes, even if you have like, again, quote unquote mistakes, right? Because ultimately everything is a lesson, even if it is subjectively really, really yucky to go through. You deserve to feel good for being exactly who you are. You know, so don't forget about the traits in you that are actually really admirable and, you know, that have also helped you get through any sort of difficult situations in the past. We also have rest and recuperate to continue making progress. I feel like this is a really important one because it feels like you are so sort of laser focused and so locked in right now that you could be maybe not placing that much emphasis on self-care. And so this feels like a very, very important message as well, to not neglect allowing yourself to rest and like really recharge as well. And the final card is focus on bringing more balance into your life. We're getting more of this like Libran energy, justice energy. I feel like you are doing that actually, you know, so at least like getting yourself back into more of an equilibrium. But I feel like this is also talking about like this emotional state, right? Making sure that, again, as much as you are dealing with what needs to be dealt with, that you also don't forget to take care of your like emotional well-being. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna leave it here because I feel like this reading was so long. So pile number one, oh my goodness, if you are still here, let me think. If you're still here, you can leave me a little light bulb emoji in the comment section so that I would know that you are still here and that I could see every single one of you who is part of my little soul family. And just to let you know, I appreciate you so, so much. You don't even know. But yeah, if you are still here and if you found this helpful, useful, insightful, or just entertaining to watch, then I would really, really love to know. If you don't want to leave me a comment, you can just leave me a little thumbs up. That helps this channel out immensely as well. And so thank you for doing that. But anyway, I'm not going to keep you anymore, I promise. Thank you so, so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you and your beautiful energy. And I am so very much looking forward to seeing you back on this channel next Friday for some more messages, more insight, and yeah, more fun, hopefully. Take care, pile number one. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to your reading, pile number 2. My name is Helen and I am so, so thrilled that you're here watching this reading, and I thank you for being here and sharing your beautiful energy with me. And thank you for all of the support as well that you have shown to me and this channel. I really appreciate it. But let's get straight into it. So we have some pre-prepared oracle cards. This is how we do it on this channel if you are new. So yeah, we're going to look into those in just a bit. And we're going to start off with this card that you chose first because I want to see what I'm picking up on this energy intuitively. So pile number 2, you chose this Knight of Swords card. And this card is definitely giving me a very, very combative vibe. So it feels like you are somewhat in like a high-strung situation right now, or just in high-strung energy in general. If it's not something specific that you are facing, if it's not some sort of like a conflict or a misunderstanding or a battle or something like that, then it just feels like you could be in a very like empowered place or very like lit up place right now, where you just seem to be so completely aware of what it is that you want or how you want certain things to be and what you are going to do about it to make it happen. There is a lot of willpower that is seeping through from this card, especially because we're dealing with Aries energy as well. So, you know, it does seem like because of this very like hyped up energy that I feel from this, you could be rubbing certain people the wrong way. You could be ruffling certain feathers with your self-expression And possibly like some of the things that you are saying, some of your opinions, some of your perspectives, or maybe even some of your values. Like I feel like there is something that is, again, just like rubbing people the wrong way. And so you could be finding yourself quite easily getting into situations where you are being opposed by other people, where people are challenging you to explain why you feel a certain way or why you think a certain way, asking you to almost like advocate for yourself, or possibly trying to push you in a corner, or trying to like outsmart you, or trying to like pull the rug out from under you or something like that. It feels very challenging, this energy. And it feels like you are not intentionally wanting to get into those sort of situations. I feel like you don't actually enjoy having like verbal spats or conflicts or confrontations with people, but for some reason you just end up like finding yourself in those sort of situations quite a lot right now. And it almost feels like, yeah, like people are challenging you, people are wanting to almost like catch you in some sort of a faltering moment, or catch you in a weakness or something like that. And so yeah, I don't know, I feel all of these like tarot references right now coming up. So this feels very Seven of Wands to me for some reason. If you are familiar with tarot, this feels very Seven of Wands for some reason. So it's like, even though you seem to be wanting to just kind of like do your own thing and focus on your own stuff, you know, just go after what it is that you want to have. And it feels like you don't actually even care too much about other people right now, which may be a bad thing to say, but it just feels like you're not really interested in like what other people have to say about it, or what other people think about what it is that you are doing, because you're just following this like deep urge within you, this power, this fire. It feels, even though this is the air element, right? The sword suit is tied to air, but it feels very fiery. And again, most likely because of this Aries association too. So you seem to be so fired up and so like fueled by what it is that you're doing, that you're not necessarily too worried or too concerned with other people and what other people are going through and their dramas and their stuff. But it's almost like, because of this energy that you are in, it is so powerful. It almost feels like a challenge to other people. And that's why they are challenging you, you know, because it's like they're wanting to knock you down a peg or something like that. Some of you could even be actually experiencing other people interpreting this willpower of yours as arrogance. So yeah, it could be that some of you are actually, this is maybe more of a specific message, but some of you could actually be experiencing like bullying, or people like really coming at you, you know? Again, that like Seven of Wands energy. And so it feels like it's not necessarily easy to go after what it is that you want, or to focus on what it is that you're trying to achieve. But it feels like it's not necessarily deterring you either. It just could be getting you into like these unwanted situations where like you have to explain yourself a lot, or where you have to argue with people a lot, or where you have to try and like convince people of your point of view, which feels kind of futile, if I'm honest. Or it feels like it's not something that you actually want to do. It's not something that you want to spend your energy and time on. But it's almost like if you don't do that, then you are just like having to spend so much of your time or energy on like breaking through the opposition. So it kind of, you know, it's kind of counterintuitive, you know, to do that as well. Anyway, I don't know. That is what is coming through intuitively from this energy of the Knight of Swords. So if you resonate with that, oh, okay, sorry, that's the last thing that is coming through. I also feel like you don't have a lot of patience with other people right now. So it's not just that people are challenging you, but I do feel that for a lot of you with this energy, it's like people get on your nerves really, really easily. And so I feel like you are getting a lot more triggered, or it's a lot more easy for you to kind of go like from 0 to 100 when people are like questioning you or challenging you or things like that, because they are just, for some reason, I feel like people are so much more annoying to you right now than they maybe usually are. I don't know. That's what's coming through. But as I said, this is just the intuitive part, right? So if you are still not sure whether this is 100% your reading, then let's look at these oracle cards, and hopefully as you are listening to these messages of where you are right now, what it is that you are dealing with, what it is that is going on with you, you will be much more able to recognize yourself in these cards and recognize your circumstances, and hopefully this will help you. Okay, so we have knowledge. We have some intuitive cards. Loyalty. More intuitive cards. And sudden illness. Okay, interesting. Okay, so pile number 2, very interesting cards coming out over here. So let's just start from the beginning. So we have this knowledge card that came out. And it's interesting that we're starting off with this card because the Knight of Swords is actually tied to the intellect a lot of the times, and to, you know, having a lot of wit, having a lot of knowledge on a certain area, or, you know, wanting to kind of like double down on something that they are sort of interested in. So this could be talking about you like either actively going to school right now, or actively seeking to enhance your knowledge in something. Maybe you are just even trying to broaden your knowledge on a certain area, on a very specific area, and maybe this area is not something that you have had too much like contact with previously, but it's almost like something that you have to learn more about because of like life circumstances. And the reason why I'm talking about that more specifically is because of this next card. So this is most likely more of a specific message, but for some of you it could be that you are actually looking into, like, I don't know, the law, or trying to dig into like more of these official documents, or trying to find out a very specific or a very narrow sort of information, something that would help you in the pursuit of what it is that you're trying to do. So like, I don't know, let's say that you are trying to launch a business. So you could be getting into this rabbit hole of like finding out as much as you possibly can about what that requires. I don't know what sort of funding you need, what sort of I don't know, certificates or permits or things like that you need if you are wanting to launch a business in a very like highly regulated or specific area. What are your liabilities? What are your responsibilities? All of those types of things. I feel like, you know, some of you are definitely getting into like a rabbit hole of some sort. Others of you, this could just be talking about like you either going to school, going to university, or getting some sort of degree, or expanding your knowledge in some sort of course or something like that. You know, maybe some of you are trying to gain knowledge in an area where you could actually, you know, where you could actually use it in a more practical sense down the line, especially with this like courthouse image. It could be something that you are trying to, I don't know why I'm feeling that, but for some of you, this is purely about like learning how to like increase your finances as well, or something like that. But yeah, it feels like there is heavy emphasis on expanding your knowledge. But for some of you, I do feel these two cards, and especially this knowledge card, is just purely talking about you knowing exactly what it is that you want, you knowing exactly what it is that you feel called to do. And because of this justice card as well, I feel like there is heavy motivation of like doing the right thing, or seeking some sort of justice, or going after some sort of certain outcome that you are trying your hardest to get. So yeah, and the thing is, I am getting more of a specific message here again, because of like, when I look at all of these cards together, I did get a message of like, some of you could potentially be so laser focused on trying to get justice, or trying to fight for someone else who has gone through something that hasn't maybe been the most fair, or hasn't been the most just. And especially because of these two cards, I feel like if this more specific scenario is for you, this seems to be talking about someone you love, or someone that is very close to you. So this could be a parent, or this could be a partner, or this could be a sibling, or a child or whatever, but it feels like this is someone who is very close to you and someone who you love very dearly. And because of this sudden illness card, it does seem like that could be the reason why you are like fighting for them or why you are advocating for them, because it seems like some of you have experienced some sort of like traumatic thing or traumatic situation with a loved one, where, you know, maybe it is very literally some sort of illness that they have gone through, or some sort of medical treatment that went wrong or something like that. And now you are possibly looking for ways to like seek justice, or how you could like go about getting some sort of justice or getting some sort of compensation or something like that. You know, it just feels like, again, this is a very specific message, right? So it's definitely not going to resonate with a lot of you, but it just feels like some of you could have experienced or could currently be experiencing having to like care for or having to advocate for someone close to you who can't do that for themselves anymore because of some sort of like health issue or some sort of a medical emergency or something like that. And again, you know, for some of you, it could even be that there was like a concrete malpractice thing that happened that has resulted in you like trying to seek justice for that person. But again, as I said, this is a very, very specific message. So let me just distance myself respectfully from that energy and sort of go back to more big picture. So we have this loyalty card here. And so it is clear that you are at this time very much focused on you know, something that you feel heavy attachment to. So again, this could be like a relationship, or this could be some sort of a goal or a dream that you have. So this is what this loyalty seems to be talking about, that you are very loyal to someone or to something that is driving this sort of laser focused, or having these like blinders on and just wanting to push ahead with what you feel so strongly about right now. It definitely seems to be stemming from some sort of deep emotional attachment that you have to, again, either this thing or this person. And for a lot of you, you know, even if this is not like a family member or a spouse or something like that, or a partner, it does seem like it is talking to some sort of people or some sort of relationships in your life, because this card is very much making me think of like a network or a community, or, you know, just having deep ties or deep connections and being all connected with each other. It seems like the things that you are so focused on right now could be because you are trying to better things for your, I don't know, for your neighborhood, for your community, for your family, or because maybe you are just trying to better the quality of relationships in general in your life right now. But this could also be talking about you wanting to like move up in some sort of like social setting or social ladder, on the social ladder or something like that. But now with this sudden illness, even though we were talking about it in very like a literal and more specific terms, I also feel like with this being here, that for those of you who are not necessarily resonating with that family scenario, it just seems like this could be talking about something that is impeding you. So something that is like stopping you or slowing you down in like getting what it is that you want, or this advancement that you're trying to do. I feel like it could be impeded because of something that is like stopping you or stopping you from getting it, or slowing you down in some way. And so it could be something that you are just lacking right now, or something sort of maybe shocking that you experienced. It could even be like a weakening when it comes to like the mental state, or especially because of this card again, you know, some of you could be struggling or finding it difficult because of this like backlash from other people that we were kind of talking about with the intuitive part as well. You know, that there could be, a certain weakening of the will, where people are trying to like undermine you or trying to talk you out of certain things, or where they are having this like weakening effect on you, or this negative influence on you. So that could be something that you are kind of like fighting against as well, and where you are trying to stay loyal to what it is that you are fighting for, what it is that you have in your mind's eye, what it is that you are trying to achieve here. So anyway, that is kind of what is coming through here, pile number 2. I'm not sure how many of you could resonate with this, or how many of you found this logical. Yeah, that is that is that. So if you did resonate with this, or if you could at least recognize yourself in some parts of this reading, then stay tuned for the tarot card portion, because we're now looking at who you are becoming. And we're going to start off with looking more broadly at the sort of person that you are becoming. So let's see. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. So pile number 2, the cards that you got are the Six of Swords, the Hermit, the Five of Cups, and the Death card at the bottom of the deck. So I'm going to point out some of the zodiac signs, as I always do, in case you recognize them around you or you resonate with them yourself. So with the Six of Swords, we have Aquarius coming through. With the Hermit, we have heavy Virgo. With the Five of Cups, we have Scorpio. And with Death, we have more Scorpio. So Scorpio is coming through the heaviest here. But if you don't recognize these signs, that's fine too. Okay, so pile number 2. If we are looking more broadly at the sort of person that you are becoming, then it seems like you are turning into someone who is much more easily able to let go of things that don't serve you, constantly like moving forward towards new things and new beginnings, and not really allowing yourself to get bogged down. Because I want to start off with the underlying energy, which is the Death card. And so this is this is one of those cards that a lot of people get scared by, but that isn't actually a bad card at all, because what this is essentially saying is that, like, in order for new things to come about, we have to go through these cycles of transformation, where we let go of something, we cut something out of our lives, or something is simply like taken from our lives. And so we create space for new beginnings, new people, new situations, new experiences. And so with this being the underlying energy, I feel like you are turning into someone who is much more easily able to make peace with that notion that death and birth are both very normal parts of life, and that we have to like go through change essentially. But I mean, we're dealing with Death card energy. We're not dealing with a Tower card energy. So this is that sort of change that you either like initiate yourself, or that you can at least see coming. Something that kind of like slowly and organically progresses until finally there is some sort of like closure or some sort of turning point, right? But it's not this sudden thing where it like is spruced up on you, or you just kind of wake up and your whole life is completely different. This is that like organic change, right? So I feel like you are becoming someone who is very adept at dealing with change and adjusting to change, and constantly sort of evolving and learning. And I love that we are starting off with the Six of Swords here. This is saying that you are turning into someone, or you are becoming someone who is very much focused on moving forward and making progress, and taking themselves to like constantly better situations, better relationships, better conditions, things that are just much more aligned and that are much less conflicting, that are much less distressing, that are just much more aligned with you, right? Because the Six of Swords is essentially leaving behind situations and things that don't necessarily serve you, or that are causing you more stress and worry than they are causing you joy and happiness and well-being. So we also have this Hermit card energy here, and the Hermit is somewhat of a solitary energy, or it's actually a very solitary energy, I have to say. But this is not necessarily saying that you are becoming someone who is like socially isolated or completely cut off from people, but it just feels like you're becoming someone who is learning a lot, someone who is becoming very wise, especially about like the truly important things in life. And also it feels like you are starting to get a lot more in touch with your inner compass as well, starting to learn and recognize and hear that inner voice much more clearly, that like guides you and lets you know where to go and what sort of decisions would be right for you, where you wouldn't be as affected by other people. And it would be a lot easier for you to kind of stay true to yourself. And also because of the Six of Swords, it feels like you are becoming the sort of person who always like learns from these situations that you change, or that you transition from, or that you move into, but also that you make these certain choices or make these transitions based on what you feel authentically on the inside. And it seems like it doesn't necessarily, again, like matter what other people have to say about it, because essentially you have to stay true to yourself, and you have to stay true to what feels right to you, what it is that you can live with, because ultimately it is your life and you are going to be the one who has to live with the decisions that you make, right? Not anyone else. I mean, yes, of course, your decisions and your actions have an effect on other people, but as long as you are not intentionally harming anyone, as long as you are not trying to do anything that is ill-intended or something like that, then ultimately you have to be the one who lives with the decisions and the choices that you make. And so with the Five of Cups being here, I want to again take the Hermit card here too, because the Five of Cups is basically a card of like grief and regret, right? But it's just all of these like painful experiences that we go through in life and that are very difficult to stomach. But with the Hermit being here, it seems like you are again turning into this sort of person that is able to take away something valuable, that is able to take away some sort of lesson, point of growth from even like the most difficult or emotionally challenging or draining situations. And so there is so much of this like maturity that I feel that is coming along with the sort of person that you are becoming or turning into. There is so much like self-assurance or confidence and knowing of yourself that I feel that you are stepping into. And ultimately, all of these cards just talk about progress to me, that you are not going to be the sort of person who is constantly like thinking back on the past or getting stuck in the past and ruminating over what happened. Because again, remember, we have the Death card as the underlying energy. So it's like you are turning into someone or becoming someone who follows their heart, follows their inner voice, and is constantly learning from every situation that you find yourself in, like analyzing it and taking something valuable with them, like with you from those situations, and then moving forward, like constantly keeping your viewpoint or keeping your head aimed towards the future, right? Looking ahead rather than looking back and getting stuck in situations you can't change. But yeah, let's see where you are doubling down, or what are you starting to focus on more? Whoa. Interesting. We got exactly 3. So we have the Hierophant in reverse, we have the Eight of Swords, and we have the Chariot. You are getting quite a lot of major arcana cards. At the bottom of the deck, we have Judgment, so more major arcana coming through. And again, the signs that are coming through here, the heaviest would be Taurus with the Hierophant, Cancer with the Chariot, and Scorpio with Judgment. But the Eight of Swords is a card of Gemini, so that could be relevant too. So pile number 2, I definitely feel a bit of a rebel energy here, and like just someone who goes their own way and doesn't really care about like social norms or like what society is saying that you should do or what other people are saying that you should do. And I feel that very strongly with the Hierophant coming out in reverse here. I'm going to show you the image upright so you could see the illustration. But with the Hierophant energy coming out in reverse, it feels like you are very much starting to focus on moving away from like tradition or from like dogma and these instilled values or belief systems that are maybe not necessarily your own, or that don't align with your own, that have just been programmed into you, right? That have just been taught to you, or, that you have just been kind of following blindly, maybe to some degree. It seems like you are moving away from that, especially because I'm gonna keep it reversed as it was. With the Eight of Swords coming out right next to it, it feels like a lot of these traditional viewpoints or things that have been kind of like passed down to you, either like from your forefathers or your ancestors or something like that, or just again from like the school system or cultural background that you grew up in. With the Ace of Swords, it feels like some of these things have been very restrictive, very limiting, and they have kind of pushed you into a very tight spot or a corner, and it doesn't seem to be something that you actually resonate with. Maybe there is like some sort of rules or notions that you have grown up with that are very heavily tied to everything that you cannot do or everything that you shouldn't do. It feels very like negative and negating. So with the Chariot being here as the last card, it seems like you are moving away from that. The Chariot is a card of progression. It's a card of movement. It's a card of transitioning from one place to the next. And it is very often about leaving something behind that you have known. So especially because of the Hierophant energy, which does again talk about tradition. It talks about like establishments or systems and rules and norms that have been put in place, or certain like values that have been followed. You seem to very much be moving away from that, especially the ones that don't allow you to be true to yourself and to do what you ultimately want to do, or that inhibit you in some way. Because again, with the underlying energy being judgment, this is you having this like awakening moment or breaking free from like any limitations, and kind of like saying goodbye to an old version of you. Because the Judgment is the card of awakening. It is following your soul's call, essentially, and elevating to a more aware, a more conscious version of yourself. That is what you seem to be honing in on, what you seem to be doubling down on, or just focusing on as you are evolving as a person. I wouldn't be surprised if for a period of time you will like face a lot of opposition or a lot of people's upset emotions because of how you seem to be going against the grain, and that seems to be kind of upsetting for other people. So as I said, right, I said at the beginning that I was feeling the Seven of Wands energy, and that seems to be coming through like repeatedly for some reason, even though we don't have the Seven of Wands here, but it just seems to be something that is like this underlying or undercurrent in this reading. So again, I wouldn't be surprised as you are becoming more and more this like maverick type energy, or as you start like doing things your own way, or like fighting for what it is that you believe in, and fighting to set yourself free from certain limitations or restrictions, or like as you are fighting your way out of a very, like I even want to say like a victim mindset for some of you, if you have been made to feel like a victim or made to feel powerless by someone, by an institution, by someone in authority or whatever. It just feels like you are going to start like fighting against that or moving away from that and proving them wrong. But let's also see what it is that you are leaving behind. Oh, wow. So many cards. Wow, so many cards. Okay, but I guess we'll just take them. So we have the Six of Pentacles, we have the Hanged Man, the Three of Swords, the Four of Wands, and the Page of Wands that came out in reverse. Okay, let's see. And at the bottom of the deck, we have Strength. So still getting quite a lot of major arcanas coming through. And zodiac sign wise, let's see. With the Six of Pentacles, we have Taurus. With the Hanged Man, we have Pisces. The Three of Swords is Libra. The Four of Wands is Aries. The Page of Wands is just fire energy in general. And with Strength, we have Leo. So Aries, Leo, Sagittarius could be significant. Okay, so I want to start off with the underlying energy again, because we have this Strength card energy. And as we're looking at things that you are leaving behind or moving away from, for some reason I'm feeling the energy of being tamed or being being controlled. And I feel like that is what you are leaving behind and moving away from, because it feels like this lion seems to be you. And this witch on this card seems to be someone else, or just external influences around you who are maybe trying to, again, like tame you into this more like domesticated version, or this more quiet and humble version that like is more to their liking, but that isn't actually true to your nature, you know? So there is something about being controlled that you seem to be moving away from. And especially strongly is coming through the message of not suffering in silence anymore, or just like keeping quiet for the sake of other people. Because with the Six of Pentacles, it feels like there is something about like someone else profiting off of a situation or some sort of injustice that I'm feeling with the Six of Pentacles. Even though it's coming out upright, it's not coming out in reverse, but I am feeling this notion of something being so unfair or something being so imbalanced, especially when it comes to like, I don't know, like money or assets or wealth or possessions or something like that. Something valuable is what it feels like. You know, if someone benefits from a situation and it isn't necessarily fair or it isn't necessarily balanced, then it feels like maybe previously, especially with the Hanged Man and the Three of Swords, you maybe were the type to just like suffer in silence. Maybe you didn't say anything. Maybe you didn't necessarily react. Maybe you didn't want to cause a fuss. Maybe you didn't want to start a conflict, right? Because as I said, it felt like it wasn't something that you are necessarily enjoying. You know, there are some people who very much enjoy being in conflict and who like kind of like get off in that sense, right? If I can say it that way. But it doesn't seem to be the case for you, pile number 2. And so with these 2 cards coming out here, I just feel like it seems to be corroborating, or it seems to be confirming that message as well, that maybe you just kind of like shut down or just kind of took it in silence and like were going through that like disappointment and pain and heartbreak just on your own, without necessarily doing or saying anything about it. And with the Four of Wands and the Page of Wands in reverse, again, it seems like there is something about like some sort of outcome that causes a lot of joy or a lot of like celebration and happiness for someone else. But for you, for some reason, it feels like it didn't or it doesn't. And so with the Page of Wands in reverse, it just feels like there is this lack of courage to, again, like do anything about it or to try and like confront that situation or try and find a way to do something about the situation. So, and especially because we have the Four of Wands here, which can again talk about like either like a certain organization or a certain family dynamic or a group of people that you are surrounded by or something like that. It just feels like you are starting to move away and you are leaving behind this version of yourself where you are maybe a bit too afraid to confront other people or to confront these groups of people who somehow like benefited off of the situation or who were very happy in a situation where you weren't happy or where you had to suffer the consequences on your own. I don't know. I don't know, pile number 2. This is getting a bit confusing, I have to say. But that is what is coming through here. So it seems to be very specifically tying back to the situation that you find yourself in right now and that you seem to be sort of like fighting for or advocating for. And it seems like it's one of those things where, again, it's like this anchor moment. I don't know whether I said that, but it feels like it's something that is like so deeply anchored in you, in your mind's eye, in your psyche and in your memory that you kind of want to like eradicate this sort of pattern or this sort of behavior completely. Like just leave behind this space where you are just taking it, where you are not saying anything, where you are making yourself small, or where you are just putting up with something that isn't right in your eyes or that isn't aligning with your beliefs and with your values. So yeah, it seems like you are starting to become much more like vocal about these sort of things and again, advocating for what you believe to be right, for what you believe to be true. I don't know. I'm going to leave it here, pile number 2. Hopefully this made sense to someone out there. I promised that these readings would be quicker and not as long, but here we are yet again. So, you know, if you are still here, please just know that I'm so grateful to you. But we are almost done with the reading, I promise. So let's look at some oracle card messages as well to close the reading out. And these are going to be messages of support or advice from Spirit regarding your reading. Okay. I don't know. This is a new deck, so maybe that's why there are so many cards coming out all the time. I can't just get 2 like I was anticipating. But anyway, okay, so yeah, let's just look at the cards that you got and then we'll get to the underlying energy. So the first message is, in times of darkness, you can always find the light. I love this for you. Well, first of all, because it kind of acts as a confirmation that you could potentially be going through a bit of a dark time right now, or a difficult time. And I feel like it's just a nice little reminder that isn't always the easiest to follow, you know, especially if you are in the middle of it, in the middle of something really, really heavy or dark or difficult and emotionally taxing. But, you know, I feel like Spirit is just saying that there are certain things that can still bring you light, that can still bring you joy, that can still bring you just some comfort, even if things are really difficult. You just may have to, you know, work a bit harder to find those things and to hone in on those things. Okay, we also have, it's time to create change by seeking out new opportunities. I feel like that's what it is. That's what you were doing, right? That's what this whole reading has been about, is like you moving away from these like suppressive conditions and starting to go your own way and starting to open up your world. So I feel like it's Spirit is just kind of going over the same point again. Sorry, these cards are all over the place and I just can't. I just can't. Anyway, okay, we also have embrace the creativity you have within you. I feel like this is a very sweet reminder of like how inventive you actually are and can be when you put your mind to it. Because remember, we had the Knight of Swords coming out, which is like the most, or one of the most adept at using their mind, right, to their advantage. And so it's clear that you have a lot of intellect, you have a lot of knowledge, you have a lot of wisdom, you have a lot of just like general know-how or smarts to get yourself out of a situation or to find solutions. So don't forget about that creativity that you have, and like try and tap more into that as much as you possibly can. Because with this, Spirit is very clearly saying that you are much more creative than you think you are, right? So yeah. And finally, we have rest and recuperate to continue making progress. So yeah, this is just kind of an overall energy of like just good advice in general, right? Not to forget about having a sufficient amount of sleep and really allowing yourself to take it easy and finding ways in which you can calm your central nervous system down and bring yourself out of this like highly charged or highly tense energies, and find ways that would allow you to let go of those anxieties, let go of that stress, and find peace. So yeah, that's just an overall good advice. But at the bottom of the deck, we have don't rush yourself. There's joy in the journey. So yeah, again, you know, it kind of seems to be tying back to that first message. It seems like it is a progress, and it seems like every single step that you're going through is valuable. It does serve a purpose for something. And even if you don't necessarily see it right now, I feel like at the end of this journey that you are on right now, and at the end of this like growth that you are going through, you are going to actually see how many useful traits and how many useful aspects of yourself you have been able to like hone or really enhance within yourself. So anyway, pile number 2. I know this was a long reading. I know. I'm sorry. As always, I'm going to try and do better. I'm going to try and keep the readings more short next time, but no promises, obviously, because that's just something that I do. But if you are still here, if you are the real deal, if you are my soul family watching this reading right now, then leave me a little pair in the comment section so that I would know that this was your reading, that you are still here, and I would be able to see you and connect with you, and I love doing that. So yeah, I really, really appreciate it if that's something that you decide to do. But anyway, I hope this was insightful, useful, or at the very least entertaining. And as always, I hope to see you back on this channel next Friday for some more messages, more insights, and hopefully more fun. Take care of yourselves, pile number 2. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to your reading, pile number 3. My name is Helen and I am so excited to welcome you to this reading. I'm so grateful you are here, and I'm so grateful for all of the positive and beautiful support and energy that you have shared with me and this channel. So thank you so much. But let's get right into it. So we have some pre-prepared oracle cards. If you are familiar with this section, or if you have already been on my channel before, then you know that this is what we do. If you are new here, then hi, welcome. This is how we do here, how we do things over here. So we're gonna look at these pre-prepared oracle cards in just a bit, and we're gonna focus on the card that you chose, because I want to feel my way through this card intuitively and see what I'm picking up on from this. So pile number 3, you chose the 6 of Wands, which is tied to this goddess of victory, Nike. I'm feeling like you could be in a bit of a confident place right now, in the sense that you seem to be in a mental state of like I can do anything. I can have what I want, and things are going to turn out exactly how they are meant to and exactly how I want them to, like in my highest good, basically. And it seems to be something that you are mostly sort of coming into, or that you have come into, because of some of the things that you have done in the past that are now starting to pay off. With the 6 of Wands, there is this energy of seeing certain fruits of your labor, being able to enjoy things that you have worked hard for, or that you have maybe even had to fight for, that you have had to exert a lot of effort on. Yeah, that you have just had to put energy into, basically, to get what it is that you have now. And so because things are starting to kind of come about, or you are starting to see certain things playing out the way that you wanted them to, or because you are, experiencing certain rewards, or you're experiencing certain recognition, praise, or certain advancements in your life, these could just be again, as mundane as people giving you credit for a very good idea at work, and therefore, starting to trust you more, or giving you more of a voice when you have a meeting, or, when those sort of brainstorming sessions appear, right? Maybe people are starting to give you, or maybe your bosses at work have given you more of a free reign or more responsibility at your work because of something that worked really well that you came up with in the past. This could be that you decided to change some sort of habit within yourself so that you could bring more of a peaceful dynamic to your home space, and that you could have a better relationship, and you wanted to work on the relationship with your partner, or with your spouse, or with your family member, or with a friend. And so because of these certain changes that you made within your own behavior, you were starting to see changes in the other person as well, and actually that dynamic becoming better, becoming more respectful, becoming more warm and loving, and things like that. So again, I'm just giving you examples. I'm not saying that that's exactly what has had to happen, but it's just these little indications of the sort of idea, or the energy that is coming through here, where you have done something, you have put in the work previously, and now you are actually being rewarded for that work. You are actually seeing certain results. And because of that, it is further feeding into this level of confidence and this level of self-belief in you, where you actually have the trust that things are working out, and that things are only getting better from here. So it is this beautiful, full of energy, full of fire, full of confidence sort of place that you seem to be in. And of course, I'm not saying that it means that you never have any doubts, or that you never falter, or that you never feel scared or feel afraid of certain things. It just seems that you are most of the time focusing on having a positive mindset, and choosing to see the confirmations around you that are further feeding into this level of confidence, that are assuring you that what you want to do, you can do, and that you can succeed at the things that you put your mind to, right? So it's just this, it's just this very driven energy. And for a lot of you, there is also a lot of support around you as well, so it's not just that you are doing these things on your own, but that other people are kind of chiming in, or doing their part as well to help you in achieving even more of these things that you want to achieve. So anyway, I don't know, that was just this intuitive part that was coming through. So hopefully something clicked, hopefully something resonated. But if you are still not 100% sold on this being your reading, then stay tuned for these oracle card messages, because now we are going to look at where you are at right now, what it is that you are dealing with, what are you in, what sort of situation you are in right now. And hopefully as you listen to these messages, it will be a lot easier for you to understand whether this is your pile or not. We have the spark. Not surprising to see this one over here. Okay, we have some intuitive cards. Oh, interesting. We have luck. We have more intuitive cards, but this one is very clearly talking about victory. And we have mastermind. Okay, interesting. First of all, pile number 3, I want to put it out there. Honestly, I have not seen these cards before. I put the pre-prepared oracle cards together intuitively and blindly, so I don't know what these cards are that I am picking, and I'm just only now seeing them for the first time here with you. So, you know, it's always just such a beautiful, like, full circle moment when I see certain cards coming out that are like very much tying into that like intuitive part that I'm feeling, because like literally I feel like this message here is very straightforward, pile number 3. It just seems like you are at this present time focusing on like elevating your life and taking your life even more to the next level, and like upping your game even more, because we have this spark that came out first. And clearly this is talking about that surge of energy, that drive, that passion, that fire. Something is making you act. Something is making you take certain action, to make certain decisions, to think of certain solutions, to try certain new things. It just seems like something has really lit a fire under your belly, and that is essentially what is making you want to make all of these moves and do all of these things. And the reason why I feel like there are so many of them is because of this next card, because this next card is indicating that there could be certain confusion as well that you could be experiencing at times, because it's almost like you feel like maybe not all of you, but I do feel that some of you actually feel kind of invincible, like you are at this place of this high energy, high drive, high motivation. You see things working out for you, and so it's almost like I can do anything, so what should I do? Like, where should I begin? It could be kind of difficult and disorienting at times to even understand where you should place your focus, where you should invest your energy in, because obviously you only have a limited amount of energy and you can't do everything, because if you try and do everything and you kind of half-ass it, then you're not going to get any results, or any worthwhile results at least. So it does require you to spend some time, and it feels like you are kind of being in a bit of a contemplative state as well, where you were trying to figure out like what would be the next step to move in next. That was a bad sentence, but you got what I'm trying to say, right? Yeah, it just seems like you are very much focused on like new ideas, new inspirations, and new heights and new levels. So because there are so many opportunities and so many potential avenues that you could follow, maybe there are even so many like opportunities around you. Maybe there are certain offers being made to you. Maybe there are certain suggestions. Maybe people are coming to you with certain like business ideas or certain collaboration ideas or proposals or things like that. And you could be kind of like having a difficult time deciding which ones would actually be worth pursuing, because I feel like you definitely don't want to just waste your energy. You seem to want to like kind of bank on something that would be secure, something that you know would reap you certain benefits. Because I'm going to kind of jump ahead here to these 2 cards, especially with the trophy here and the number 1 spot being highlighted. It feels like you only want to go after something that would be like the golden goose, something that would bring you like the ultimate biggest rewards and the biggest payback, right? You don't want to have something that is you know, that works, but it's just kind of nice to have, or something that like works but is kind of mediocre. You seem to want to go for like the best, the thing that would bring you the best results, the thing that would bring you the most amount of returns or financial increase, the thing that would bring you the most amount of acclaim or respect or admiration, or, you know, again, whatever this is that you are wanting to do, whatever it is that you are excelling at right now, you just want to reach new levels, right? So I know I've said that 100 times already, but you know, we also have this mastermind. So clearly, again, this is all coming into some sort of a bigger picture. I'm looking at like this net, and it seems like there are so many levels to it, and everything is obviously connected as well. So it feels like there is some sort of a bigger underlying plan or blueprint at place that you are trying to achieve. And it's almost like you are trying to tick these like boxes one by one. I don't know, that's kind of what I'm seeing in my mind's eye, that there is some sort of like list or a table of certain things. Maybe it's even like a vision board or something. And it's like you're trying to tick these like smaller things, or more like concrete things on that list or on that vision board that would like ultimately get you the whole big picture, right? The ultimate vision. And so it feels like maybe that's why it's also so important for you to like figure out where you should place your energy next, because you want to do something that would take you closer to that ultimate grand vision. So even if someone is coming to you with a really good opportunity or with a really tempting offer or something like that, if it doesn't ultimately play into this like this bigger plan of yours or this ultimate goal or vision, it feels like you are turning it down, or you are not necessarily choosing to accept it, because there seems to be, with this mastermind, there seems to be something like more big picture that is behind all of this that you are doing. And obviously I feel like I don't really need to spend too much time on this card, because with this luck energy coming through, which is kind of tied to, because it's the 10th card as well, it's kind of tied to the Wheel of Fortune energy in tarot. It is very clearly indicating that things are just working out for you, that luck is on your side, the universe is supporting you, people are supporting you. Maybe certain things are working out a lot easier because obviously you seem to be doing the right thing. That's why I feel like things are a bit more easy as well, or you are seeing certain like lucky breaks or lucky turns or serendipitous situations. You may find yourself in those as well. And I feel like the reason why you are seeing all of those is because you are doing what you are meant to be doing. And so Spirit is just trying to work alongside you and make it even more easy for you to achieve those things, because that's what you ultimately came here to do. So yeah, that is what I'm feeling. Let's see if there's anything else that is coming through. Okay, I don't think that it is. So let's just move on to the tarot portion. So pile number 3, if you recognized yourself in this, if this made sense to you, then definitely stay tuned for the tarot card portion, because we are going to look at who you are becoming. So we're going to start off with the person that you are becoming more broadly. So let's see what we get. Okay. Okay, interesting. So we have the Devil, the 5 of Swords, the 7 of Pentacles, and the 5 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Now, if you are familiar with tarot, you may see some of these cards and get a bit freaked out. Please don't get freaked out, because I promise we're going to get through all of the cards. I'm going to explain all the energies that are coming through. So don't jump ahead, okay? But I'm just going to give you some of the zodiac signs that I am feeling here, just in case you resonate with them or you recognize them around you. With the Devil, we have heavy Capricorn energy coming through, and as the only major arcana, that is the strongest zodiac sign here. With the 5 of Swords, we have Aquarius. With the 7 of Pentacles, we have Taurus. And with the 5 of Pentacles, we have more Taurus. So we have heavy earth sign energy, specifically Taurus and Capricorn, and then as well some Aquarius as well. Okay, pile number 3. So I want to start off with the Devil card, because I'm feeling a bit of a dualistic message here. On the one hand, I'm feeling the more like Capricornian energy of the devil. So, you know, the devil has a really bad rep, and in most cases it does have more of a shadowy trait to it, but it's not inherently a bad card. Like, no card in tarot is inherently bad, right? There are positives and negatives and shadowy and light sides to every single card. So with this, I'm feeling that, you know, it's just talking about this material aspect of life and being very focused on like financial stability, on your ambitions, on your worldly goals and things like that, which is very much tied to the Capricorn archetype. You know, having that drive, having that passion to pursue certain very physical, tangible goals that you have that very often do yield material rewards as well. And that's not a bad thing. That's not something to be ashamed of. You know, it's just it's nice to have physical comfort, right? I don't know who would disagree with that, but yeah, it just feels like that is something that you are like really starting to prioritize, and possibly also just this, again, this more ambitious side could become more prevalent in you, where you're really starting to go after what it is that you want. But at the same time, on the other hand of it, as I said, there is a dual message coming through. This devil card energy could be talking about certain like manipulations or certain temptations as well, which with the Five of Swords coming out right next to it, I feel is talking about temptations outside of you. So it could be hinting at like certain prospects, maybe certain people who are trying to get close to you for their own like selfish or self-serving intentions or goals or something like that, where they could be trying to sell you some sort of idea, some sort of plan. Again, like something like that, where they see that you are making all the right moves, you are seeing certain success, you are rising in the ranks, or you are making a name for yourself or something like that, and they want in on it, right? So it almost feels like a bit of a vulture energy, you know, where they are just kind of like circling you, and they are trying to, yeah, like they're trying to get their share of your success or something like that. But with the Five of Swords, it feels like you are someone who is actually going to like cut that off, or like not allow that to be a part of what it is that you are doing. So there is something very like concrete and very cut and dry with the Five of Swords energy here. So it's like if something like that comes around you, like this devil energy, if someone is trying to sell you something that sounds a bit too good to be true, or if they're trying to like sweet talk you into something, if they're trying to cozy up to you, I feel like you're going to be able to see through that very quickly, first of all. But also with the Five of Swords, it just seems like you are going to be placing like these very firm boundaries. So especially if you are someone who maybe, you know, has been more of a people pleaser type in the past, or if you have had difficulty with like establishing firm boundaries, maybe you usually get on with people very well, and you like obviously having good relations with people, and you don't want to have any animosity or any hostile situations or any conflicts or arguments or things like that, which is normal, right? But it feels like maybe in the past you have maybe let certain things slip in order to like keep the peace or not rock the boat or not get into a confrontational situation. With both of these cards, it feels like that is something that is changing. So if you recognize yourself in that more of like, oh, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, or I don't want to make them feel bad, or I don't want to be rude, or whatever, like sort of inner monologue you may have gone through in the past, if that's something that you used to do, or you recognize that within yourself, with this Five of Swords, it feels like that is changing, and you are not going to have any issue with like being very firm with your boundaries, and again, not allowing any like sweet talkers or manipulative people to like slither into your life and take advantage. So definitely some firm boundaries in place, but also like just any opportunities or any like get rich quick schemes or any shortcuts or things like that that could like, again, alter you from your path. I feel like there is something very concretely like cutting that stuff off. That seems to be coming through here too. So it's like you're not even entertaining those sorts of things, because we have the Seven of Pentacles here. And this is telling me that you are focusing on the big picture, on the long-term rewards and returns. So you are not in any sort of rush to get to where you want to go. You want to do things right, and you don't want to make any mistakes or take any missteps so that it would slow down your process. I feel like it's ultimately more important for you to take things more slowly and to maybe see less returns, but like see the big returns in the end, rather than mess something up and like get some sort of instant gratification, but then like lose out on the bigger thing in the end, right? Or just like get swayed from your ultimate path. So this Seven of Pentacles is telling me that you are becoming someone who is very patient and someone who is very determined and very invested in what it is that you are ultimately trying to do. So this is very admirable. Now, let's get to the Five of Pentacles here, because I am sure that when this card came out, a lot of you possibly shivered a bit or didn't really like seeing this card. Now, the Five of Pentacles can be a very difficult card, but I don't actually feel the sense of like lack or being left in the cold or any of those like more traditional meanings of this card. I actually just feel sacrifice with this. So because it's coming out as the underlying energy, I feel like you could be becoming a person who is able to endure certain periods of like discomfort more easily, or who is able to, you know, just like make do with a little less, or make certain adjustments, or let certain things go, let certain comforts go that are not necessarily essential to you and to your survival, just so that, again, you could reap bigger rewards in the end, because it's all about the Seven of Pentacles ultimate vision, this plan that you are tirelessly working towards and that you are ultimately trying to get to. It feels like you are making no compromises there. And so that is why this Five of Pentacles is here, because it just feels that it's talking more about like adaptability and flexibility. That is essentially what I'm feeling with this Five of Pentacles. And especially because we have the Seven of Pentacles here too, and these cards are kind of like coming out together. I do feel like there is importance or significance to this in-between energy here too. So between the Seven and the Five of Pentacles, there is the energy of the Two of Pentacles. And so with the Five of Pentacles, as I said, it feels like you are starting to like make certain sacrifices. And so I feel like there is this point of prioritization or setting certain priorities for yourself, or evaluating your priorities, because the Two of Pentacles is talking about like juggling certain things, or either like trying to decide between two options, or it's trying to like kind of keep all of the balls up in the air and manage everything. But it ultimately talks about like prioritizing, right? Because you can't juggle forever. And so because of this Five of Pentacles seems to talk about you possibly foregoing certain like luxuries or certain comforts for a small period of time, or just like temporarily, in order to get to where you ultimately want to go, or in order to keep working on the ultimate vision, right? So again, it's about prioritizing the ultimate vision. So just to give you an example, right? Let's say that you are trying to lead the most healthy and fulfilling and happy life that you possibly can. And so a part of that, right, as this like little increment that we were talking about with this mastermind card, as part of that little increment, one of the boxes that you may be trying to tick is being fit, or, you know, having more of a healthy lifestyle. So let's say as a result of that, you know, because that is something that you're trying to achieve, it may mean that you have to shift your eating habits for a time, or at least like, you know, let go of certain, let go of eating a lot of sweets all the time, or let go of certain time in your day that you usually spend, watching Netflix or watching Prime Video, or watching YouTube or watching TV or anything like that. And instead, maybe you take that time and invest it going into the gym, or taking a walk, or doing some yoga, or preparing like a more healthy meal for yourself rather than ordering in or taking takeout or anything like that, right? So it just feels like you could be letting go or sacrificing some sort of comfort in your day in order to get to that place that you ultimately want to go to, because that is more important to you in the grand scheme of things. And it doesn't mean that you are never going to watch Netflix again, or that you are never going to allow yourself that piece of cake again, but it just means that you are temporarily reassessing or doing things a bit differently so that you could achieve that goal that you have, right? So that was my point with the Five of Pentacles. Hopefully the message came across. So anyway, let's move on and let's look at what it is that you are doubling down, or that you are starting to focus on more as you are evolving. Oh, exactly 3. I love when that happens. Okay, so we have the Eight of Pentacles, the Sun, and the Hierophant in reverse. Okay. So again, quite a few major arcana cards coming out over here. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Nine of Pentacles. So again, going over some of the zodiac signs, with the Eight of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles, we have heavy Virgo coming out. With the Sun, we have Leo, and with the Hierophant, we have Taurus. So there is actually quite a lot of earth sign energy coming through. So you could resonate with Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. Or you could just have some of those signs in your birth chart in like prominent places. I'm going to start off with the underlying energy this time, because we have the Nine of Pentacles, and I feel like it kind of sums up beautifully everything that the cards are saying. Because the Nine of Pentacles is a very sort of independent, self-sufficient energy that is good being where they are, that is good being on their own. And it doesn't mean that they have to be alone, or that they have to be single, or that they have to be, you know, isolated somehow. It just means that they don't necessarily depend on anyone else to feel good, to feel whole, to feel worthy and happy and successful and fulfilled. And so as this is talking about something that you are starting to focus on more or do more, it feels like you are going to be driven more by this aspect of like doing things that make you feel good, doing things that make you feel content, and really enjoying, allowing yourself to enjoy the fruits of your labor as well. Not just like constantly going out and seeking things, but also allowing yourself the time to really appreciate how far you have come and how much you have actually achieved. So because we have this Eight of Pentacles and the Sun coming out over here, it feels like you are starting to focus more on doing things, and again, staying focused on the ultimate vision of happiness. The Sun is very much talking about like joy, fulfillment, happiness, you know, everything that is good, everything that lights you up. But with the Ace of Pentacles, which is essentially talking about like work, dedication, focus, practicing, putting this narrow focus on something, right? Not allowing yourself to get distracted once again. It feels like you are honing in on what it is that you ultimately want to achieve. And especially when it comes to the Sun energy here, it feels like you are becoming very narrow focused with your energy as well. Because the Sun can talk about your vitality and your energy levels, and again, just how much of yourself you exert and how much of yourself you share with other people. And so it could talk about you sort of becoming a bit more reserved when it comes to how much of yourself you actually share with other people, or how much you spend time with other people, like everyone who wants to spend time with you, or everyone who wants to catch up with you, or, you know, if someone wants something from you as well, I feel like you are going to be much more sort of concrete on like maybe not being as available to them at any given time. Because again, with the Eight of Pentacles, it just feels like you are so focused on this ultimate vision of your dream life that you are working towards. We have so many like pentacle cards in general, and so many of these like earth element cards coming through, that it is very clear that you are trying to like manifest something tangible, something that would actually be, you know, like livable, something that you can experience in the tangible realm. It's not just this like pipe dream or this illusion or this vision that you have in your mind's eye. You seem to be actually taking practical steps to get there. And so I feel like because it's so important to you, you actually realize how important it also is to like value some of these more abstract things that we don't actually think are tied to the physical realm. I know that sounded so confusing just now, but like, let me give you an example. Even just, again, even your energy, your attention, your your time. So all of these things are actually part of like how you experience life, or what sort of reality you end up creating for yourself. And so if you use those assets, or if you use those resources willy-nilly, then ultimately it's going to have an impact on what your life ends up looking like down the line. And so it just seems like you are going to start realizing the importance of those things because of the Sun card, especially. I don't know why, but it keeps making me think of your liveliness or your energy reserves. This like feel good energy. I don't know why, but again, this may be more of a specific message, but for those of you who always find yourself in situations where you are like making someone else feel better about themselves, or cheering someone else up, or trying to like lighten the mood, or trying to lighten the energy in a room, if that is you, then I feel like you are starting to maybe do less of that. And again, like turn that energy more towards like the things that are tied to this ultimate vision of your life somehow. It's not that you are turning into this like cold and detached person, definitely not. But I just feel like you are starting to put a lot more value on, again, more of these like abstract or more of these resources that you don't maybe necessarily think about all the time, right? And we have this Hierophant in reverse as well, which I'm going to show you the image up, right? And ultimately, I just feel like this is talking about like other people, and again, other people's ideas, opinions, beliefs. And I feel like because, again, we have the Sun over here, and we have all of this like independent energy coming through, I just feel like you are starting to kind of maybe tune that out a bit, especially with the Hierophant in reverse, which just feels like it's talking about moving away from like tradition, or moving away from the status quo and just how things are normally done, and focusing more on like what feels right to you, what lights you up. And I also feel that this could be talking about you starting to change certain norms, or certain like rules or regulations in how things have always been, especially if this is talking about some sort of like work situation for you. Yeah, like work scenario, then it feels like you could be starting to like shine your own light more confidently, and possibly in the process, like starting to rewrite or disregard some of these like outdated or outmoded beliefs or rules or systems that are in place, and maybe like helping to illuminate how there is a better way of doing something. So it almost feels like an innovative energy as well. But let's look at the final question of what it is that you are leaving behind. Okay, interesting. So I don't know, the Six of Swords kind of came out in reverse. The Queen of Pentacles was kind of so-so, but feels like it's upright. And then we have the Hermit. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Star. Okay, so the two major arcana cards coming out, we have Heavy Virgo coming through with the Hermit, and with the Star, we have Heavy Aquarius. With the Six of Swords, we have more Aquarius, and with the Queen of Pentacles, we have more Capricorn. So yet again, heavy earth sign energy coming through. I don't know if this is more of a specific message or not, but that's what's coming through, so I just have to give it. I want to start with the underlying energy, because with the Star, this feels like it's talking about healing. And so especially like healing other people, I don't know why, but I feel with the Star that you could be moving away from taking on this role of like a healer or a savior or a protector of someone else. And of course, I'm not talking about like your children if you have them, or you know, your family members, your loved ones. Like obviously, you're still going to be protecting them and looking out for them and supporting them and all of those things. But I feel like this message is more so tied to, you know, if you have had or if you recognize this like savior complex in yourself, you know, when you see someone in trouble, or when you see someone struggling, and your first instinct is to try and like solve their issues for them, or try and like make their problems disappear somehow, or like try and take the burden off of them somehow. If that is you, then I feel like that is what is changing. That is what you are leaving behind. Because again, it kind of ties back to this previous message of like using your energy and using your willpower and using your time and possibly other resources as well to do something for someone else. And again, I'm not talking that you are never going to help anyone out anymore, or I'm not talking in like extremes like that, but it just feels like the focus is shifting. And especially if you have been sort of saving people or helping people or protecting people as like a detrimental effect to yourself, you know, if you have been suffering as a result of that, yeah, if that has somehow taken away from your own sense of well-being or your own resources or things like that, then I feel like that is something that you are definitely starting to move away from, because I feel like first of all, it's not your responsibility, but second of all, it doesn't actually help those people anyway, you know, because ultimately it doesn't teach them anything and it doesn't make them like more resilient. It doesn't instill in them the notion that they can actually handle their own problems. So as I said, this is more of a specific message, so I'm just gonna leave it there. But yeah, it feels like with the Six of Swords in reverse, the Queen of Pentacles and the Hermit, this just feels very kind of stagnant energy to me, or very, yeah, kind of stuck or kind of contemplative, you know, not necessarily taking too much action. And I don't know why, but with this Queen of Pentacles, I don't feel like this is your energy. It feels like this is someone outside of you, where it feels like there is someone around you potentially. They don't have to be female, even though we are dealing with the Queen of Pentacles energy here. It just feels like there is someone around you who could potentially be driven a lot by like fear or caution, and especially with the Six of Swords, who may want things to like be the same, or who doesn't want things to change, and who may be like trying to talk you out of certain endeavors or trying to talk you out of certain ideas. It seems to be because of certain fears that they have and that they are projecting onto you, certain insecurities that they have. Again, the Queen of Pentacles is not coming out in reverse, even though, as I said, it was kind of like iffy there, right? It was almost in reverse, but then it wasn't. So it's kind of like, it was kind of on its side. So I feel like that's why it's hinting at this Queen of Pentacles having a bit of this weird energy, not necessarily like bad or malicious or anything like that, but just kind of like unsure of themselves, and maybe again, being driven too much by fear or negative thinking and insecurity and that type of thing. So it seems that that is something that you are leaving behind. If this is someone you recognize around you, then it could be that you are starting to maybe distance yourself, especially with the Hermit here. You could be starting to isolate yourself from that energy, or just like not allowing their insight to like defer you or deter you from your path. And again, if this is specifically a person that you recognize that like has constantly been coming to you for help, or that has maybe tried to like push their own dreams onto you, because again, with the Star, this can also indicate that there is some sort of a dream that someone else has that they have been trying to project onto you. You know, it could be that that is tied to this Queen of Pentacles person, and that is something that you are also moving away from. And I'm not saying that you are necessarily cutting this person off completely, although maybe for some of you that is the case. If this person is not someone that you want to have in your future, obviously this is your decision, right? This is you making those choices. It's all within your own power. So if you don't want to have that sort of influence in your life, if you know exactly who this person is and you feel like they are detrimental to you and your well-being, then obviously you may end up making that choice to like cut them out completely. But I don't think that everyone is going to be doing that if this message is for you. So in that case, it just feels like, again, you are placing certain boundaries in place. So you are distancing yourself from that, especially with the Hermit. You know, this is talking about following that inner light, following your inner voice, and really like being the master of yourself, taking your own advice, taking your own guidance, and really like making decisions based on that. So yeah, I don't know. That is what I am feeling, pile number 3. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing. I really hope that that wasn't the case. But that is what's coming through. So just like very heavy outside influence is basically what seems to be something that you are distancing yourself from or that you are leaving behind. Yeah, okay, let's close the reading out with some advice or simply loving support from spirit through these oracle cards. So let's see what we can get to close this reading out for you, pile number 3. Wow, okay. We have one card. I want one more. Okay, I guess we're taking the 2 over here. So, okay, all of these cards came out already in another pile. So if you felt called to another pile, you know, maybe there are certain messages for you there as well. Even though I don't really necessarily feel too many overlaps here, but you know, anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. So the cards that you got, the first one is you deserve to feel good for being exactly who you are. I feel like it is actually tying back to this last message that we just ended talking about, because this seems to indicate that there could be someone around you, or there could be maybe even several people around you who may try and make you feel bad for, again, the success that you are experiencing, or the ideas that you are having, and all of this like positive energy that you are experiencing, these rewards that you are experiencing because of it. So if someone is around you that is trying to like limit your growth, or that is trying to repress you or suppress you, or like keep you small or something like that, be very, very mindful of how much you allow those people or that person to have influence over you, how much you allow them to have a role in your life, how much say they have over your life, because again, you deserve to feel good for being exactly who you are. And I feel like that's why the universe is also rewarding you, right? And we also have seek magic in life's mundane moments. I feel like that's kind of what you are doing anyway, because again, we have all of this luck energy that is coming out, and all of this like positive energy that we were talking about. So I feel like it's not actually that difficult for you right now to see magic in life's mundane moments. So I feel like this is just spirit urging you to keep doing that, to keep seeing the magic and to keep focusing on the positives, because I feel like that in turn is going to bring about even more of them. And at the bottom of the deck, we have look at the big picture before you react. I actually love that we are ending the messages off with this one, because it's tying me back to that mastermind card and everything that we have been talking about. So how you have this big vision, this big picture that you seem to be focused on anyway, like keeping that at the forefront of your mind at all times when you are making decisions, when someone is offering something to you, when someone is tempting you with something. Look at the big picture before you react. I feel like this is such a perfect way to end the reading. And pile number 3, oh my goodness, I am so happy that you chose to spend this time with me. I hope that this reading was useful to you. If you're still here, by the way, I know that this is a long one. I know. I'm going to try and do better next time, I promise, but no guarantees. So anyway, if you're still here, by the way, leave me a little bolt emoji in the comment section, so that I would know that you are still here, and that I would know that you are the real deal, that you are my soul fam member here on YouTube. And I absolutely love seeing your comments. I love connecting with you. It just warms my heart so much. So if you decide to do that, thank you so much. And just any sort of support in general, you know, just you watching this video all the way through, if you leave me a thumbs up, that helps my channel out immensely as well, and helps the messages that I do to reach even more people. Hopefully we can grow to like 1,500 subscribers very soon, keeping my fingers crossed. So yeah, anyway, that is that. So thank you, pile number 3. And in the meantime, if I don't see you in any of the other piles, please take care of yourselves. But I do hope to see you next Friday back on this channel for more videos and more insights and fun. Bye-bye.